Hi everyone and welcome. My name is Dora and this is my finale to pan that palette in order. I finally did it. It took me over a year and yes, I've now got pan in every single eyeshadow in this ABH Riviera palette here. Please make sure you check out my description box below because I've linked to some panners. Number one is Amber F, the godmother of Pan That Palette, and then Taylor Buell, who came up with the Pan That Palette in Order project. The idea is, of course, that you hit pan in every eyeshadow in a palette in order. So starting from left to right, top to bottom. I've been doing this project in collaboration with Ravneet, who is on a bit of a hiatus here on YouTube. She's also been panning an ABH palette, a different one, and I think her most recent video is actually an update from November. She did really well. And a little update from her, because I know a lot of you have been asking in the comments. She's doing really well. She's just not been wearing a lot of makeup and therefore it doesn't really make sense to update on panning projects. And then last but not least, I got this palette from the lovely Ruth, who also used to be here on YouTube, so I've linked her down below as well. So at the start of this project in January of 2025, I already had 5 pans. On the top row that was in Sales, Seaside and Mediterranean. And on the bottom row I already had pan in Estate and Cannes. So I thought, amazing. 5 pans hit already. 9 shadows left out of this 14 pan palette. I should totally be able to do this within a year. Well, no, I wasn't. And here's where I was with this palette at my last update. As you can see, I only needed 2 more pans in Monte Carlo and in Palm. The bottom row was a lot more difficult because that's where all of the matte shadows are. Of course, shimmers are a lot easier to hit pan in. And yeah, you'll be surprised when you hear how long it took me to hit pan in that last shadow, Palm. But anyway, I don't want to hold this back from you any longer. Here is what this palette is looking like today, with every single pan hit. And you might even be able to see some pan expansions here and there. I also tried to do a no pan left behind on most of the shadows here. As you're probably aware, a lot of the older ABH palettes have rust issues in their metal pans, and I already uncovered that for these 2 shadows here. I didn't want to use those again. I'm still thinking about whether to depot this palette possibly, but right now, I mean, just looking at it today, I'm like, I don't really want to. I don't think I'm quite ready yet. Maybe it'd be fun to uncover a little bit more. I haven't come across any more rust in doing no pan left behind minus these 2. But I have seen that some of the shadows, the rust is only on the edges of the pan, so I'd need like a quite considerably larger pan in order to uncover that. Of course, it would be fun to depot it. These pans work in magnetic palettes. I've got a frankening and depot playlist going on, and I will add to it as the time goes on and as I'm depotting and frankening, mixing more shadows. This will probably feature there at one point. I just don't think it'll be immediately. I'm now going to go through how long it took me to hit pan in both of these shadows, and then I'm going to share a couple of looks with you, and then of course I will be sharing the slideshow with you so you can see what this journey has been looking like. And then finally, I think I announced this a couple of updates ago, I actually ended up locking away a third of my collection, 11 palettes, to help motivate me to keep going with this and to complete this palette, because I was really stalling on it. And I thought, well, if I lock, you know, all these palettes away and I'm not allowed to look at them, not even allowed to look at a list of them, then maybe that's going to spur me on to finish this a bit sooner. I also still really want to bring another eyeshadow project back, but we'll get there. In the background, I'm doing my yearly 30-day makeup bag challenge right now, and I'm currently on day 10. You won't be seeing that until mid-May, the intro. So I think once that's wrapped up, I'm going to introduce another really fun eyeshadow project again that I've already done before. It's gonna come back. Okay. Right, let's look at Monte Carlo. At my last update I was at 14 uses. I only needed to use this 3 more times in order to hit pan. I think I said 5 or 10 more uses. I was a lot closer to pan than I thought I was, so that's great. And I did use it one additional time. So I've got a total of 18 uses on here now in order to complete No Pan Left Behind on here. Palm, my goodness. I was at 11 uses at my last update. It took me 37 uses to hit pan on here. And that included 2 looks where I used palm all over my lid as a sort of lid setting type of shadow. Obviously it's very dark, but then I added a brighter, lighter shimmer on top. I did that to help me to use more of it rather than just using it in the outer corner. But yeah, 37, that was definitely the hardest eyeshadow to hit pan in. Okay, I'm still gonna go through all of the uses one by one on this entire palette. So sales, I used 1 additional time, actually 2 additional times within this project, but 1 since my last update. This one already had pan. Yacht was the first pan I needed to hit. I did everything in order, by the way. And I've now got 15 uses on this shadow within this project. I don't think there's any rust issue. I was a bit worried. This is a really beautiful shadow. Seychelles, I've got a total of 10 uses on now. And Palermo, I've got a total of 11 uses on. Seaside, this one already had pan. So I've got, yeah, just 1 extra use on here. Really expanded that pan. That's probably one of the biggest ones. Yeah. Inheritance, the gold shimmer, I've got a total of 6 uses on here. That was obviously really close to pan. I didn't need that many uses. Yeah, 5 to hit pan and an extra 1 from my No Pan Left Behind. And then the final one, Mediterranean on the top row, I've just got 1 use on here. This is a pan that Ruth hit. I can't claim that one. Estate already had pan as well. I did not use this one. This does have a rust issue, so I'm not gonna put that on my eyes anymore. Cabana was a pan I hit within this project. Also has rust issues, so I didn't do an extra use on here since my last update, but I've got a total of 19 uses on this shadow. Moving on to Coastline, I remember working on this last summer. I've got a total of 19 uses on here. Bahamas was a new pan in my most recent update. 25 uses on here, it took me 24 to hit pan. Monte Carlo, 18 uses, 17 to hit pan. Cannes, I only used 1 more time. And Palm, 38 uses, 37 to hit pan. So like a really decent amount of uses on here. And maybe it's probably because now it looks so well loved that I'm less inclined to rip it apart and depot it. Yeah, I feel very proud of this now, even if it took me forever. Right, I'm gonna show you a couple of looks now. I've only got 2, and then I want to show you the 3 palettes that I couldn't remember in my last update. We'll get into all of that. If you're like, what are you talking about? I'll explain in a moment. So here's a look where I'm wearing Palm all over my lid, that dark brown shadow. And then I've got a really dark charcoal, almost black shadow with some sequins, some glitter in there on the outer corner, and Vanilla from Glaminatrix as a topper shadow. So just 3 shadows. But yeah, I really quite enjoyed that one. My next look also involves Palm, but only in the outer corner. I've got a couple of neutral shadows, shimmer shadows from my Pan That palette, the regular one, Revolution Smoked palette on my lid, and then Palm in the outer corner. And then I've got a Natasha Denona shadow in the crease and on the lower lash line, and an inner corner from my YSL Couture palette, a Quint, that I've got in my year-long project pan. So this was a look that I was trying to pan until I would make progress in Palm. Obviously a brown matte always works, but in the outer corner, there's just not so much shadow that I'm using. That's why it took me so long. But yeah, happy to say I'm done now. let's talk about the palettes that I stashed away. I filmed a clip when I first opened them again, but just so you're aware, at that point I knew exactly which ones they were. In my last update, I could remember 8, and there were 3 that I couldn't remember. By the time the video went live on YouTube, I could already remember 1 extra one. And that's because when I made the thumbnail and I added that little picture of where you can see my palettes, I spotted one, and that was the Essence Welcome to Miami palette. So here it is, and I haven't used it yet. I haven't used any of these palettes yet because when I took that video, it was a day before I started my 30-day makeup bag challenge, which means I've restricted myself to just 2 eyeshadow palettes, and obviously none of them are, you know, what I had stored away. So I can't put them on my face, basically. So it's still gonna be another 3 weeks. But this is a palette that I'm still quite excited about. I had this in No Pan Left Behind, and I compared it to the Mercury Retrograde palette by Huda Beauty. The color story does remind me a little bit of it here and there. I mean, I'm holding them up side by side in that video, and there is some resemblance, you know. And I did a look where I used Essence on one eye and then the Huda on the other eye, and that was really interesting because they looked almost identical. Yeah, I do really like the formula on here. I don't necessarily love all of the colors in here, but I think for now it's a keeper. The next palette I remembered was the Revolution Rockstar Nude Edition palette. This one here. This was a Pan That Palette contender for both this year and last year. Never made it. It always came in second place, at least in terms of what I wanted to go for. And I think possibly also with what everyone else voted. Maybe 2 years ago everyone voted for this one, but I didn't end up choosing it. I chose a 9-pan palette instead of, you know, committing to 18 pans here. And I managed to finish my Pan That palette. But yeah, I still really love this palette. I remembered that this must be stored away. Well, I figured it out because I really wanted to play with it. I wanted to look at it, and I couldn't find it in my palette drawer. So I thought, oh, I must have stored it away. Well, yes. I'd really like to spend some more time with this one. I've had it in No Pan Left Behind already. I've used every single shadow. I've got some pans in here, but yeah, this is not one that I can get rid of. The last palette I remembered, it took me ages until I figured it out. It just sort of clicked at one point. I thought, hang on, there's still the sibling to the Rockstar Nude Edition palette, and that's the Noir Edition. And I have barely used this one. This was in my eyeshadow declutter project pan, so I didn't do No Pan Left Behind on it. No, I took the sticker off where I tally. I actually tried to pass this on, but yeah, it just still wants to obviously spend more time with me. I did enjoy this shadow a lot at the time when I had it in a project last year, but I haven't tried everything out yet. Okay, I'm now going to show you the clip, so just so you're aware, as I'm going through my 11 palettes, I'm making a decision in terms of which palettes am I potentially going to let go of. As a little spoiler, none of that happened. I did offer them, but they weren't taken up, if that makes sense. So I'm holding on to them, and I also mentioned in that video, you know, that's fine. If I really desperately wanted to get rid of them and declutter them and pass them on to a good home, I know how to do that. I'm a member of a lot of local freebie groups. I can pass them on easily, but yeah, I don't know. Obviously, it's not time to do that yet. Right, here are all of my palettes that I've stored away in a nice dusty bag. Never mind. Okay, let's get everything out. Ooh, okay, interesting. Revolution Utopia palette. I mean, it is beautiful. There are a lot of neutrals here too. I might swatch a little bit. I'm just trying to figure out if there's anything that I might... Oh yeah, no, I like that a lot. If there's anything I might declutter. Okay, keeping. Fine, I thought I might get rid of this one, but yeah, No, not today. The Rockstar Noir Edition palette by Revolution. I've just barely used it, but it is pretty. Let me do a couple more swatches. This one was a favorite. Very similar to, I want to say Supernova in the Huda Beauty Mercury Retrograde palette. You know, shifts to copper pink. That's really pretty as a topper shadow. These mattes are kind of nice as well. Then what about this green here? That is pretty. Let's try Solo and Ultimatum. Yeah, nice, but nothing special. It is a pretty palette, but I think I might pass this one on. Yeah, I'm gonna see if my friend might want this. And if not, then I'll keep it. Ooh, this next one here is a favorite. I don't know why I chose to lock it away. Maybe the other one was more important to me. I don't know. I don't remember. This is the Revolution Pro New Neutral Blushed palette. And I've honestly missed this. I think it's so pretty. Dazed, this shadow. I've got a pan in there. And a glow. Even hint. Look at that. Sorry about the tripod. The formula, these are single swatches. This is such a beautiful formula. Definitely keeping. I'm excited to be able to play with that again. Once I'm actually done with my 30-day makeup bag challenge, which starts tomorrow behind the scenes. Okay, next palette. September Rose Cosmetics, still pretty. I'm still really intrigued by this palette and I haven't even used every single shade yet. I am keeping this. I think it's good to have a couple of monochromatic palettes, or monochromatic-ish. Natasha Denona My Dream palette. I don't love this one, but the pans are magnetic and I think therefore I'm gonna hold on to this one. And I've also got the Glam palette by Natasha Denona, so I could customize my own palette there. This one I've truly missed. Colored Rain, Queen of Hearts. I got this one from Louise. This is just so pretty to me. I would really like to use this more and maybe try and hit pan in a shadow or potentially even make it a pan that palette one year. Yeah, glad this is back. BH Cosmetics Passion in Paris. Another one that I haven't really played with enough yet. And I'm kind of intrigued by it. And I do like grungy colors and smoky eye looks. Yeah, keeping. Here's another pink, very monochromatic palette, much more than the September Rose. The Sweet Pinks by Juvia's. And this is an absolute keep. I really like this one for spring, summer. Actually, I've worn this for New Year's as well, but yeah, just love pink. BH Cosmetics Colori Vivace. I mean, there are some neutral colors here too. I've kind of got all of these shadows in my collection. I'm not sure if my friend would be interested. I seem to remember that she said that she didn't like this type of formula of this 16 pan mini palette by BH Cosmetics. But I'll try nonetheless. So here is the Rockstar Nude Edition palette. So this one I'm letting go of. Am I? This color story is so pretty to me. I mean, I don't care much for these pressed glitters here, but everything else is beautiful. And Simplicity here is a great shadow, even for all over the lid. Here's Simplicity swatched. Yeah, I'm keeping this one for sure. And then finally, Essence Welcome to Miami. And here's this one. It's not necessarily a favorite palette, but I do like the formula of the shadows in here. Just in terms of the color story, it's probably, yeah, I'm more interested in what's going on here on this left-hand half. Less so over here. And this pink shadow is so impactful and so soft. Look at that. For this shadow alone, I'm going to keep it. Holding on to 9 and potentially decluttering 2. But they may stay in my collection if they don't get picked up at the makeup spot. So yeah, this has been really exciting. There were a couple of insights I had in terms of locking them away. And I already started sharing about that last time. Number one, initially it felt like such a relief when I had, 11 fewer palettes in my makeup drawer, and I thought, great, I'm now able to dip into palettes that aren't in projects. I can see what I've got. That novelty wore off really quickly, and I went back to only using the shadows or the palettes that are in projects right now. And here's the thing, I had still been working on too many palettes at a time. For example, I've had 4 palettes and no pan left behind, and I could only focus on 2 of them at a time. Any more than that was really overwhelming. And that kind of got me thinking, and I'm not sure if I've got an answer to that yet, but maybe the amount of palettes that I can comfortably have in a project at one time, maybe that's also the right amount of palettes that I should have in my collection, full stop. I think there's a thought in there. Of course, decluttering, it's not an easy thing for me, especially not with makeup. I don't feel ready to dwindle my collection down to that number, because I know, for example, I think I've had 9 palettes in a project at a given time, and I'm still overwhelmed by that. Maybe being down to 5 palettes in my collection as a whole, it sounds appealing, but I wouldn't know what to let go of. No way. I'm not there yet. This is gonna be multiple passes, and even when I do declutter, yes, some of them go straight to a new home, great. Say for example, if I were to declutter this one, I would probably repot some of them. I don't know, they're not magnetic, or they don't work in magnetic palettes, these pans. But I would repress them, take them out, and maybe franken a little bit more, and then maybe there would be like the odd discard here or there. That's kind of like my process of decluttering. As part of my no-buy project pan, I'm on a low-buy for palettes, although I've got no desire to bring anything new into my collection at this point. I've also just announced that I'm on a hard no-buy for magnetic palettes. I'm currently at 7. 2 of them are very small, 2 of them are very large, and the rest are sort of medium-sized. I have restricted myself. I'm not allowed to just, because then, yeah, of course, I can declutter all of my palettes and just put them into singles, which is a lovely idea, but I would then still have to buy more palettes. I feel like that kind of defeats the purpose. So 7 is my maximum. I'm going to leave it at that. If I run out of space in terms of magnetic pans, then I'm going to have to declutter some singles and franken some more, or use them up. How about that? To wrap this up though, I think this was a successful project, even if it took me longer than I thought it would. I am definitely loving how this looks. Far more, yeah, if that's even possible. I always liked this palette, but I like it even more now that I've got pan and everything. Secondly, in terms of that exercise that I did at the end, in terms of stashing my palettes away, I think that was really useful as well, because it did spur me on to do this faster. I was definitely at some kind of, I'd hit a wall at that point and I wasn't really progressing anymore. So that really worked out. I also think just taking some of our collection and storing it away for a period of time until you've hit a certain goal, I really like that idea, and I think I'm going to continue to do that here and there. I think it's super fun, very useful, and I mean, I'm doing it right now. I'm a third of the way through my 30-day makeup bag challenge. I have still got access, I can look at everything, but I can't use it, and creating these little games or restrictions for myself, they really help me to focus in on something and to hit some goals. And whereas here it helped me to hit pan and focus on these shadows more, right now it's helping me to actually empty products, and that is so satisfying to me, because at the end of the day, all of these fun projects, it's all here to serve a purpose of, yes, I want to get to know my collection better, but I also want to reduce it and actually also use what I love and find out what I love the most, and then use that. Because another thing I've noticed, and I feel like I've mentioned that before, sometimes I think that I really love something and it works great for me, and then I'm starting to get backups of it. But by the time I finish the product, the first one, sometimes the second one, I fall out of love with it. I discover something else, or I kind of figure out, actually, no, it's not what I thought it was. So I'm definitely learning not to have backups anymore, and not to have that kind of mindset of scarcity where I think, oh, I need to hoard it because what if it runs out? Actually, the exciting part to me is about figuring out and exploring where maybe a new favorite might be, you know. Say I run out of my favorite foundation, then I get to test some other foundations in store and maybe get some little samples back home and figure out what actually really works for me. I think that's such a fun process because there's always new makeup on the market, right? So yeah, all this to say that backups, I don't think they really work. I don't know, I mean, and in a way, eyeshadows can be like backups too, especially if they've got color stories or shadows that we've got over and over and over in our collection. You can kind of dupe a lot of stuff from your own collection. Even this look that I'm wearing right now, I'm wearing my Pan That palette and my Build Your Own palette, but it looks different because part of the challenge. And I feel like I created a look that I really enjoyed wearing with the ABH, I'll show you, with Coastline and a shifty coppery pink shadow from the Mercury Retrograde palette. Yeah. Okay. I think that's enough rambling now. Thank you so much for watching all the way until the end. I really hope you subscribe if you haven't done so already. I also want to hear from you if you're doing Pan That palette in order. Have you done it? Have you completed it? Are you thinking about joining? And if you are doing it, please let me know down below in the comments. Please let us all know so we can come and check you out and cheer you on. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day or night, wherever you are, and I'm sending you so much love. Take care, bye.